right to even know what the settlement is as members?
I think that's what we're going to have to ask council.
What am I missing?
And I don't think you were sued individually.
Well, we were actually, we were named. The commission then.
You were named as a member of the Historic Districts Commission, yes.
Yeah, that is a distinction. I'll give you that. But so as members of the commission that's named, no commission member is entitled to understand the parameters of the proposed settlement?
The town was not a party to the settlement. It was between the library and the people taking issue.
But does the town have to sign off since wasn't the town sued?
That's why the town manager is setting up a meeting with town council. I don't know the details.
No, the town signed the stipulation of dismissal.
Right.
On our behalf.
So Paul, by the way, I know you missed the earlier part of the meeting. We basically continued the application because of this issue. So I'm glad to hear we're going to have a meeting, and I think I'd welcome you to join us.
Yeah,
frankly.
Okay.
Thank you, Marcia. All right. We have one more thing on the agenda, and thank you all for waiting. This is the Jenny Dugan Road Historic District.
And we also have Joseph Stein for 21 Thoreau Street, who's an individual property owner who'd like to be added to the Main Street Historic District.
So let me just ask, these are two, so you know about Jenny Dugan Road Commission, you've seen that, and then 21 Thoreau Street, you realize is an individual homeowner. Do we need to, are these, we're not doing this at this year's town meeting.
Can I interrupt for just a minute?
Abigail.
I'm being informed that I have a 3-year-old refusing to go to bed. Since we're in other business, may I excuse myself?
Yes, you
to go deal with the tiny toddler who is.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for all your work.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Night, Abby.
Good night.
Night, Abby.
So let's see. I think we've got 21 Thoreau Street is essentially an addition to an existing historic district. Now, neither of these we can't make this in time for town meeting this year, right? Warrants are already.
No, this would be for next spring.
Okay, so why don't we do this? Is there presentation material for either of these things, or is this just for discussion?
So we have, I believe Matt emailed me a presentation. And then 21 Thoreau Street, I did have some older documents just on the website from when we previously looked at it as part of the potential expansion of the Main Street Historic District.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if we just want to start with that one. And
sure,
then,
let's just take a quick look at it. I think in principle, we're not objecting to really either of these things, but why don't we just look at it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is part, remind me where it is in space on the map.
yeah.
Is it an island?
It's next to the yellow house.
Okay.
This
That's
is
it.
21
So
Thoreau.
to essentially, the green is the district.
Correct.
So we're just sort of oozing the district down one more property.
Correct.
I would like to bang my gavel and say fine, frankly, but I don't have a gavel, so. I'm not sure what would be Heather, what's the process?
So I don't know if the homeowner wants to speak first about his desire to be added to the district.
Okay.
And then if the commission's in agreement, I can work on drafting a draft warrant article. And then we'd also need to schedule a public hearing because any proposed warrant article would require a public hearing. So that could happen at any time. And it can happen separately from the Jenny Dugan Road, or if we're going to do a public hearing for that one as well, we can schedule them the same night.
So let me ask one other question. Were there other people in this district who wanted to become part of the district?
There were other people in favor of the expansion of the district. I can go through and look through my notes to see who was in favor. and see how easy it would be to pull people in if they wanted to be included in this.
Okay.
This
that's
one's
what-
easy because it abuts the district.
Right.
If there's ones that are kind of islanded in there, we can't do it as an expansion of the district because it needs to touch somehow. But we could do them as individual historic districts. You can do that as well.
Yeah, that gets complicated.
Yeah, so that would be a little bit different.
Okay, well, anyway, why don't we let the homeowner speak? Is the homeowner Joseph Stein?
Hi.
Hi, Joseph.
Hi, how are you guys?
Welcome.
Thank
well,
you.
thanks for waiting.
Thanks for taking me.
Sure.
So I'll be brief. So my wife and I live at 21 Thoreau Street. We've been there for about 8 years. We love it. We are concerned a little bit about the pace of teardowns in the neighborhood and just the trend of mansionization in general. So we tried to reach out to the HDC and to Heather in particular to see if we can somehow protect our home in the event that we do need to sell. I mean, we hope to be there for a while, but we just wanted to see what can be done, and we understand that this may come with some additional burden on our end in terms of applying for applications and whatnot, but we think that the benefits outweigh the cons in this case. So we're here for your consideration.
All right. Was the process, Joseph, clear to you that your property is a kind of an easy one to include in a district because it's not an island, but we do have to go through this process of having a public hearing, and then it would have to be voted on at town meeting.
Yes, understood. Yeah.
All right. So what I would say is this seems fine to me, Heather. I would be curious to know if there are other people abutting that historic district, just so we sort of kill two birds with one stone if possible. And Joseph, I don't know if you know if there are other people in your area, in the neighborhood there that are interested, but if you have any thoughts along those lines, maybe send them to Heather too.
Okay, I will.
All right. Okay, well, I think, Heather, we can get started with at least including this property as part of the historic district. It's sort of a
Okay, I'll work on drafting that warrant article, and we can review it at one of our upcoming meetings. And then we'll work on getting a public hearing scheduled for it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank
All right,
you.
Joseph, thank you.
Thank you.
And we have the Jenny Dugan Road folks here. Matt, thank you for being so patient. I think there are other people here. Now, you all know this is a neighborhood up near White Pond, and they're looking to become a district. And of course, we were right about to take a big old site walk when nobody was allowed to see each other anymore. So now that we can probably have a site visit at some odd, we all stand apart kind of way, I think we can push ahead with this for next year's town meeting. So is there a presentation, Heather, that we need to look at here, or that we're going to look at?
Yeah, let me just pull up this PDF.
Thank you, Matt, and folks for waiting until the end of the meeting here. All right, Matt, are you going to walk us through this, or who's? I see six people.
Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome back.
Hi guys. I just want to say, well, I'm here with two other people that I want to introduce. Priscilla Clark is my across the street neighbor, who is one of two other people that are working with me on spearheading this. And I also have with us Andrew Glass, who's from Lincoln. He's the chairperson of the Lincoln HDC, and also is a board member of Friends of Modern Architecture Lincoln, FOMA. And I was introduced to Andrew 2 or 3 years ago when FOMA organized a deck house tour that included 2 houses on our street, my house and a house that had been built by Bill Burke, who was the original architect for the deck company. So Andrew's here because last time we talked, you had asked about getting more information about Lincoln's approach to adding mid-century modern homes to their historic district, and in fact, they created a little historic district for some mid-century homes. And Andrew was just instrumental in that whole effort. So he's a really good resource if we want to ask him some questions. And just to bring you guys up to speed, so we've got two new. Hello?
Sí, te lo estoy
We've got
buscando.
two new homeowners on the street. So two houses turned over, one of which had been in, the fellow that sold it had been here for about 40 years. So I've met the new neighbors and I've talked to them about the proposed district. And I can't believe I can say this, but I think we have 100% support from the whole street. You know, I'm sure there'll have to be some education done and there'll be questions. And, you know, one of the big questions is really what to do about the houses that are not deck houses. But I've just been very encouraged by the response. And so we're hoping to kind of, you know, restart the effort now. And one of the things we've done is to start to put together this document, which I don't think we have to really go through in detail here, but Heather could scroll through it, which just really starts to give a history and significance of the subdivision, who created it, what the composition of the homes are, the deck company, and its relevance to Concord and the surrounding area. So this was a map that we put together for the deck house tour. So color coded, the two red houses were the deck houses on the tour, and the orange houses are all the remaining deck houses. So there's 8 of these green houses. Two or three of them are mid-century modern or post and beam houses, sort of inspired by deck houses, but not actually deck houses. And the remainder are colonial revival houses from the 60s, basically. We went to the town archives and found the original subdivision information showing when it was created and who created it. It was created in 1960, essentially, 1959, 1960. And, you know, we're still uncovering more and more information. It's kind of funny how when you start looking for something, you see it everywhere. So, you know, we're finding information about the deck company and its relevance culturally. You know, it was one of 2 companies in the United States at that time that were doing these kind of post and beam semi-prefab homes, and DEC did over 20,000 homes on the Eastern Coast, and the Eichler Company was in California. These are our houses, just going in order on the street so you can get a sense of what they look like and their current condition. For the non-deck houses. And they're just all very close to their original condition. You know, some have had additions, like this one to the right over the garage, but the additions that have been done seem to either have been done using deck company components or very sympathetic and in keeping with. So it's a real great opportunity to preserve these houses now before we lose more of the fabric and the connection with the people that actually built them. So with that, I'll just sort of open up the discussion if there's questions or if Andrew wants to say anything. Peter?
Well, I thank you for this. I think this is not posted on our website yet, Heather, correct? The report here?
No, I just received it, so I can post it on the
Okay.
website and
I see
email
the
it out.
photos and the map are there. I'm personally a big fan of a mid-century modern historic district. I think it's a great idea. So commissioners, any particular thoughts? We can just do a popcorn here. You can unmute yourselves unless you have. I think we should just proceed with this and get it ready for town meeting in 2021. I don't know exactly, again, Heather, what the process is. We obviously have to have public hearings. I would like to take a tour of the neighborhood at some point, frankly, just to not look like I'm stalking, you know, have a permission to drive around or walk around. Any thoughts from commissioners? Nia?
Yeah, I'm in favor. I mean, I think it's fantastic that there's 100% buy-in in this neighborhood. I think it's just fantastic. I too would like a tour because I'm interested, but also I think if we're going to be conducting some sort of public hearing, we need to educate ourselves, and it looks like the homeowners are giving us lots of material with which to educate ourselves. So I think it's terrific.
Thank you, Luis.
I think this is a great idea, and I think that the pamphlet that has been generated, it's outstanding.
Thank you, Melinda.
I think the presentation is so impressive, and I look forward to looking at it in more detail. I am very familiar with this neighborhood. I have friends that live in this neighborhood, but I sure don't know any of the history about the neighborhood. And I would be happy to take a tour, and let's do it before the winter.
All right, thank you. Paul, any thoughts? Oh, you're muted there, sir. You have to unmute yourself, Paul. There you go.
Yeah, I have a question, Mr. Chairman. What exactly is our role? What is before us on this?
So we're being asked to sponsor the creation of another historic district in town. I think that's right. We're
does that take a vote of the commission?
Yes, it has to, well, a vote of the commission, that's a good question.
So in order to submit a warrant article, you would need to vote on a warrant article. But then it has to go to town meeting, and it has to, I think it's a 2/3 majority vote.
But our role is to approve the warrant article.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So shouldn't we sort of rough up a warrant and have a site visit and have some discussion and a public hearing?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not convinced about this as a historic district. I know I'm in the minority, and so be it, but I'd like to know a little more and be more educated about it and its history. Some of that, of course, is my obligation, but I think I don't want to be preemptive here. I think this deserves real consideration.
All right, yes, makes sense. Yes to all of those requests. I think a draft article would be good to start tinkering with even now.
Yeah, I've been working on updating like a survey to send out to the property owners, just so we have something kind of in writing from each property owner, whether they're in favor, whether they're know about the historic district, and kind of exactly what we sent out when we were looking to expand Main Street. And then also I'll work on drafting a warrant article as well.
And may we also, to Paul's point, may we see, and maybe this is a question for Matt, some of the deliberations or discussions in Lincoln, that because it was a similar deck house district or mid-century modern district approved in Lincoln. I'm just curious what the, you know, what the discussion is. It might help just inform.
If Andrew could say something, because he's
Andrew. Sorry.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me this evening. As Matt says, we 2 years ago formed a new historic district in Lincoln called the Brownswood Historic District. It's a neighborhood, if you're interested in taking a look, on Laurel Hill and Moccasin. Those are the names of the roads. That was developed in the 1950s by an MIT professor and his wife. Designed by individual architects, but all in a modern style. The neighborhood was very interested in forming a historic district. So our existing Historic District Commission and the Friends of Modern Architecture Lincoln worked very closely with neighborhood members to talk about what it meant to be in a historic district, to work with them to develop certain guidelines that became part of our bylaw when the town approved this new historic district. and then to prepare a report to the Massachusetts Historical Commission, which I'm happy to share with you, which sort of lays forth the history of this neighborhood, the importance of the houses, the guidelines that the neighbors chose to have become part of the bylaw. So that was really the deliberative process that we went through, was working closely with neighbors to answer their questions, address their concerns. And we've done this in stages because the neighborhood did not have 100% buy-in, but really half the neighborhood really wanted to be in the district. So they decided to go forward. And then over time, we've worked with additional members of the neighborhood to join. Actually, to your applicant who's interested in joining your Main Street Historic District, the MHC has been very supportive of expanding our existing district to add individual properties, even if they aren't contiguous with the existing district, without having to form a separate district. And that's true both in the Brownswood area, where neighbors in certain parts of the neighborhood have joined, which aren't contiguous to the rest of the district, and with our main district. We now have about 24 modern homes located throughout the town that are part of the historic district. So it is a mechanism that the MHC recognizes and supports, and we found that it can be easier to do that rather than having to form, 24 different separate historic districts. So it's something that can be done, and if you're interested in,
we're very interested.
Talk offline about that.
Just to note, we are a little bit different than most historic districts. We're not under Mass state legislature. We are founded under a special act, so we don't have to submit anything to MHC.
Okay.
And our ways of getting a district are a little bit different.
Sure.
But they're similar.
Because it's Concord, we cannot do it like anyone else. We it just wouldn't feel right. All right. Well, yes, Nia.
I was just thinking, thinking about what Paul has just said. I think this does require deliberation. I personally think this neighborhood does deserve to be a historic district, but I think we need to have some sort of criteria that we're going by, because you can envisage in the future Joe Blow Road coming and saying they want to be a historic district, and how do you determine which areas merit being in the district and which don't? I mean, I think we have to be careful here. I think Paul is right. We have to just be considerate, consider this seriously, so that we are articulating why we're doing this.
And I'd definitely be interested in seeing especially the guidelines that were in that report to MHC about the Brownswood Historic District, just because I think that's something we need to consider, whether or not we're amending our guidelines to include something for this district specifically, or doing like an addendum to the guidelines specific to this district, and how we want to handle the guidelines, because they'll probably differ than our other historic districts a bit.
And I'd be happy to share that with you, Heather.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think we've got what we need. Any other thoughts? I didn't mean to ignore Luis or Melinda. Do you have any thoughts about any further thoughts?
I just wanted to mention that I understand Nia's concern about Joe Blow having a historic district in his yard. But I do believe that the current guidelines of the Historic Districts Commission allow for a district such as the Jenny Dugan area to be included as a historic district. And it would be a matter of making the argument from a historical perspective, and that is just an argument that has to be discussed, and there has to be some consensus and agreement that that is what we are going for.
Okay. So we got some more homework to do, some educating, and it sounds like we are going to get this rabbit started one way or another. So why don't we plan to revisit this?
Hand raised.
What's
Sorry.
that?
Matt has his hand raised.
Matt. Oh, I didn't see your hand. Sorry, Matt.
Hi, Peter. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say regarding the site visits or the neighborhood tour that even if we can't do it as a group, that Priscilla and I are more than happy to meet anyone that comes out here and walk with them, obviously at a distance wearing masks, but to really give you some of the history or information that you might have. So please, reach out to us when you come out here.
Okay.
I'm at
Thank
number
you.
71.
Thank you. I think we probably, frankly, would like to do it on our meeting cycle, either the morning, or we could do it a different time of day, I suppose, depending on the heat as we're coming into August. But thank you for that offer. So I think what we should do is, why don't we keep this on our other business, Heather, for an update every meeting in case there's an update, and let's talk about progress on the various items that Paul listed. And I think we should arrange a site visit soon, but I realize it's 9 o'clock and everybody's probably a little bit burned out at the moment. So why don't we arrange that administratively? Heather, you and I can talk, and then we'll propose something to the commission in terms of site visit times.
Okay.
And then we'll speak with Matt and Priscilla. How about that?
Okay. Yep, that works.
All right, Matt, Priscilla, Andrew, thank you for attending. And Joseph, thank you for your attention to your home. And I would look for a motion to adjourn, folks.
I move that we adjourn the meeting, HTC meeting of July 16.
Second.
And all in favor, you can raise your hand. I know we do a roll call, and everyone has raised their hand, Heather. I declare every commissioner has said, let's adjourn.
Okay.